Sup, YouTubers. So I said that I would do a quick side-by-side of a few of these bigger planes that I have, and this is it. Like I said, the video really doesn't do any justice. I mean, there's my hand, and then they're huge. These are just big freaking planes, man. So there's the 262, that's the new V2, and then the F14. This F14 is like 5 feet long. This one's probably about 4, a little under 4, and then this one's not. It's long, but it's more wide than it is long. I mean, it's just got this really wide wingspan. I mean, just like a real 262. First jet ever built in the world. This is a really cool historical jet. So are both of these. As in modern jets, these are pretty historical themselves. But yeah, there it is, guys. Just like a real quick 2-minute video. No history lessons here. Just showing you the comparisons and the sizes. Hold on one second. I'm gonna pause this and go grab one of my little guys and show you just how big they are. I know most of you guys probably have one of the smaller 64 milliliters, so I'm gonna go grab one real quick. All right, so Banana Hobby F35. So I mean, if you guys have any one of these planes, I got that orange tape on there for orientation, by the way. I have beat the snot out of that F-35 learning how to fly. That nose has been completely ripped off and put back on again. Still flies really good though. And then that's a 64 mil, slightly bigger than the F-35. That's a 50 mil plane. That's a 64 mil plane. But look at that. That plane is probably just as big as one of the wings on the ME-262. So that actually gives you a really good, look at how big they really are. When I first got the 64 mil planes, I was like, oh wow, these are pretty big. No, they're nothing compared to these bigger ones. So I mean, that's a look. I'll look at, and then let me go, hold on one second. Alright, so I brought out a few more of them. So I can fit both of my 64 mil, my Sabre and my F9F on that ME-262, and you can still see the ME-262. The MiG, the Raptor, 4S Raptor, and then one of my few Banana Hobby planes that I have, the Pack T50. It's a pretty cool plane. It's not bad. It's really light. So it when it comes in for landings, it's almost like landing a cloud. It's so light. Difficult to get off the ground because of its low profile and low landing gear, short landing gear. And then also pretty difficult to land because it's overpowered for such a light airframe. The MiG, that thing's real heavy. It flies real heavy. It's actually the heavier EDFs out of the 64 mils. It's got some weight to it. I'm not sure why. Foam sticker or something like that. The Sabre and the F9F have like some of the better flying characteristics of the 64 millimeter planes. I took the fuel tanks off of that Sabre, and it just flies so much better. And it's actually, every time I would go to land that thing, where I have to land, sometimes the grass is a little rough, and it would just tear the fuel tanks off anyways. So I just ripped them off completely. The MiG, however, its fuel tanks seem to stay on there a little better. I think it's because of the positioning of them. When the fuel tanks hit the ground, the nose kind of hits the ground, and there's a plastic piece underneath the nose there, and that kind of digs into the ground and slows it down. With the Sabre, they set further back on the wings, and the nose sticks out a little further. And when they would hit, they would just tear off for some reason. So I just took them off altogether. And like I said, I got that orange tape on there for orientation. You can tell I haven't flown those in a while because I don't need the orange tape anymore. I can actually tell. Like you can see, there's no orange on that one. That's because it's got a big bright yellow tail and 2 bright yellow wingtips. It's not very hard to find the orientation of that plane in the sky. But with a nice silver plane like that, both of those silver planes, once they get up there, and they're not the biggest thing. They don't fly big in the sky. And that F-35, that thing is ridiculous to try to keep track of when you get it far away. And this one, I just put some black tape on the nose, and that kind of gives me a good orientation of the plane. But yeah, as you can see, man, they're the size comparisons of these planes. That's that. I figured you guys would probably want to see this. Check out the size comparisons of all the planes. But I've got a few more in there, but I've already created a disaster in my kitchen here, so I'm not going to pull any more out. I've got a Stinger in there. I've got what is that? Stinger. Oh, the Banana Hobby Messerschmitt. I've got that one. That one's not in working condition right now. I don't know. Something's wrong with the ESCs in it. I have extra ESCs. I just haven't put it back together yet. I've got a couple of other planes in there too. A little smaller Bear Cub that my son practices with. And another smaller prop plane as well. I think the next one I'm going to get is the big 1700mm FMS P-47. I really like that plane historically. I like the P-47. They weren't a good long-range, fighter bomber or attacker, whatever you want to call them. But they were a sweet bird to fly, along with the P-51s and some of the late model Griffin Spitfires. Those were actually really good planes too. The Hawker Hurricane was actually a really good plane historically too. The Battle of Britain. Yeah, so P-47's next, guys. And I heard that's a big bird too. That's a big ass plane too. So just thought I'd put these things side by side so you guys can get an actual size comparison of how big what is, and I think that gives you a pretty good idea of how big things are and how small things are. And these 64 mil planes are not small. They're actually pretty big. I mean, they're not bad. They do pretty good. I've got some serious flight time on this bad boy. It's a fun flyer. If you can get it to fly, it's a fun flyer. What it wants to do is when you toss it, just a quick note on this plane in particular, when you toss it, what it wants to do is it wants to go straight up, and then your natural instinct is to cut the throttles to get it to come down, and then what it does is it goes, because of the heavy battery in it, and then smash down on the ground. And that's what happened when I first bought it. The first time I ever threw it up, that's what happened. So I black taped the nose and glued it back, glued up the sides here. And when you want to throw this thing, you want to throw it and push the nose down. Sometimes your arm will hit the back here, but that's okay. It's not going to deter it. What it might do is send it sideways, but it straightens out itself. But you want to throw it and push the nose out at the same time. You want to make sure that nose stays down, because if you throw it with a nose up attitude, she's going to go straight up on you. Even if you have a freaking gyro in it, she will still go straight up on you. So you want to take that thing and kind of throw it down and let go here, and then pull your arm out of the way quick so that that vertical stab doesn't hit your back of your arm. But you want to throw it with a nose down attitude. Another way I've learned how to throw this thing is grab that bitch right by the butt, just like this. And when you throw it down, because the natural instinct of this plane is going to want to go up. It's just going to want to go up. I don't know why. But you throw that bitch out and down, and then she'll come straight up, and then you can fly the shit out of it. But the other ones don't do that. The MiG, you can just toss it up there and she goes. The Sabre, that thing is so carefree. I mean, it's probably One of the easier planes to throw up and fly. That F-35 over there, that's a hard one. That is a hard one to do too. You better hope that thing's trimmed out correctly before you throw it in the air or put a gyro in it. And this thing, that thing needs nothing. It needs nothing. You put it together with maybe 4 or 5 screws, 6 screws, and it's got landing gear on it, but they don't retract. They stay put. So that thing takes off and glides. Barely any trim into it at all. And same thing with that 262. That thing was doing really good until that prop flew off. That thing just flies so big in the sky. I mean, it's just massive. But yeah, that's side by side, guys. I didn't even want this video to go this long, but I really wanted you guys to get a good look at, you know, how all these planes compared to one another. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. You guys have a good night. Later.